There is a habit that millions of families repeat every single day without giving it a second thought. Leftover food goes into the refrigerator, and when it's time for the next meal, we simply reheat it. Most of us believe that if the food is hot enough, it must be safe. But what if that isn't always the case? Some of the most important changes don't happen while the food is being reheated. They begin much earlier, during the hours it spends sitting in your refrigerator. You can't see these changes. You can't smell them. In many cases, you can't even taste the difference. Yet, food scientists have spent decades studying how storage and repeated heating can alter the chemistry of certain foods. What makes this topic even more surprising is that the foods we're talking about aren't fast food or highly processed meals. They are foods many of us eat every week because we believe they are healthy. In fact, one of them is probably sitting in your refrigerator right now. My name is Dr. William. For more than 15 years, I have studied nutritional biochemistry and how everyday cooking habits influence long-term health. In this video, I'll explain what current scientific research, together with guidance from organizations such as the World Health Organization, the United States Department of Agriculture, and the European Food Safety Authority, tells us about reheating leftovers. Before we examine the 4 foods that deserve the closest attention, we first need to answer an important question: what actually happens to food after it leaves the stove? Because once you understand that process, you'll never look at leftovers in quite the same way again. Before we talk about specific foods, we need to answer a simple question: what actually happens to food after it leaves the stove? Most people believe that once a meal is cooked, the process is over. In reality, cooking is only the beginning. From the moment food starts to cool, it continues to change. Some of those changes are completely harmless, while others depend on how the food is stored, how long it sits, and how many times it is reheated. Think of it this way: freshly cooked food is like a new book. Over time, the pages begin to wear. Reheating doesn't make that book new again. It simply warms it up. One of the first changes involves oxygen. When cooked foods containing fats or proteins are exposed to air, slow oxidation begins. This natural process can gradually alter the structure of fats and proteins, producing compounds that researchers continue to study for their potential effects on long-term health. While our bodies are equipped to handle a certain amount of oxidative stress, repeated exposure from multiple dietary sources may contribute to chronic inflammation over time. Temperature also plays a critical role. According to food safety guidance from organizations such as the United States Department of Agriculture and the United Kingdom Food Standards Agency, cooked food should be cooled promptly and refrigerated without unnecessary delay. When food remains within the temperature range where bacteria multiply rapidly, microorganisms can grow even if the food still looks and smells perfectly normal. That brings us to another common misunderstanding. Reheating can destroy many living bacteria, but it cannot always eliminate toxins that some bacteria have already produced. In other cases, repeated heating may further change the chemical composition of certain nutrients, especially in foods rich in starch, protein, or natural nitrates. This doesn't mean leftovers are inherently dangerous. In fact, millions of people safely enjoy them every day. The real difference lies in how the food is handled between the first meal and the second. And that's where today's discussion becomes important, because the 4 foods we're about to examine each react differently after cooking. Understanding those differences may help you make smarter decisions in your own kitchen without giving up the convenience of leftovers. Let's begin with the food that feeds more people than any other on Earth: rice. For billions of people, rice isn't just another side dish. It's part of breakfast, lunch, or dinner almost every single day. That also makes it one of the most commonly reheated foods in the world. Surprisingly, the biggest concern isn't what happens when rice is reheated, it's what may happen before that. Raw rice naturally contains bacterial spores known as Bacillus cereus. Unlike many bacteria, these spores can survive the initial cooking process. If cooked rice is left at room temperature for too long before being refrigerated, the spores can become active and multiply. Some strains are capable of producing toxins that are far more resistant to heat than the bacteria themselves. According to food safety guidance from the United States Department of Agriculture and the United Kingdom Food Standards Agency, reheating may kill the bacteria, but it cannot always destroy toxins that have already formed. Fortunately, preventing this problem is straightforward. Allow rice to cool quickly, refrigerate it as soon as practical, and only reheat the portion you intend to eat. Repeatedly warming the same container over several days is a habit worth avoiding. Now let's move to another food that many people associate with healthy eating, chicken. Whether you're trying to lose weight, build muscle, or simply eat a balanced diet, cooked chicken is often the first choice. It's rich in high-quality protein, versatile, and commonly prepared in large batches for meal prep. However, proteins don't remain completely unchanged after cooking. Every time cooked chicken is exposed to heat, small chemical changes continue to occur. At higher temperatures, especially during repeated reheating, or when the meat becomes overly browned, compounds known as heterocyclic amines can increase. These compounds have been widely studied because laboratory research suggests they can damage DNA under certain conditions. Scientists continue to investigate how cooking methods and long-term dietary patterns influence overall cancer risk. But one consistent message has emerged. Avoiding excessive heat is a sensible precaution. Researchers, including teams from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, have also emphasized that overall eating patterns matter far more than any single meal. Reheating chicken occasionally is unlikely to determine your health on its own. What matters is making safer habits part of your routine. If you prepare meals in advance, divide cooked chicken into individual portions before refrigeration, reheat only what you plan to eat, use moderate heat instead of cooking it until it's dry, and avoid reheating the same serving multiple times. Notice something interesting about both rice and chicken. The risks are different, yet the solution is remarkably similar. Safe storage, proper refrigeration, and minimizing repeated heating do far more to protect food quality than simply turning the microwave to its highest setting. The next foods on our list may surprise you even more, because they are often praised as some of the healthiest foods you can eat, yet under the wrong conditions, they undergo changes that many people have never been told about. The third category may be the most unexpected so far because it includes foods that nutrition experts routinely encourage us to eat more often. Leafy green vegetables. Spinach, Swiss chard, celery, and beets are naturally rich in nitrates. In their natural form, nitrates are not the enemy. In fact, they have been associated with benefits for cardiovascular health and healthy blood flow. The problem is not the vegetable itself. The problem is what can happen after it has been cooked, stored, and then reheated. During refrigeration, naturally occurring bacteria can gradually convert some nitrates into nitrites. Under certain conditions, these nitrites may contribute to the formation of compounds called nitrosamines when exposed to high heat or during digestion. Because some nitrosamines are known to damage DNA, scientists and regulatory agencies, including the European Food Safety Authority, continue to monitor dietary exposure and evaluate ways to reduce unnecessary risk. Does this mean you should stop eating spinach? Absolutely not. Leafy greens remain among the healthiest foods you can include in your diet. The smarter approach is to prepare only the amount you expect to eat, or if you have leftovers, enjoy them cold in a salad rather than repeatedly reheating them. Understanding the difference between the food itself and the way it is handled is far more important than avoiding nutritious vegetables altogether. Now let's look at the final food on today's list. Eggs. Few foods provide as much nutrition in such a small package. Eggs contain high-quality protein, essential vitamins, choline for brain health, and important antioxidants. That is exactly why so many people cook several eggs at once for quick meals throughout the week. But eggs are also rich in cholesterol and natural fats. After cooking, those fats slowly begin to oxidize. Reheating cooked eggs, especially at very high temperatures or multiple times, may accelerate this process and increase the formation of oxidized cholesterol compounds known as oxysterols. These compounds have attracted growing scientific interest because laboratory studies suggest they may contribute to inflammation and oxidative stress. The key point is not that reheated eggs are automatically harmful. Rather, the goal is to avoid unnecessary repeated heating. Hard-boiled eggs are often best enjoyed cold, while scrambled eggs or omelets should ideally be prepared fresh whenever possible. If reheating is necessary, gentle heat is generally preferable to overheating them in a microwave until they become dry and rubbery. As we've now seen, rice, chicken, leafy greens, and eggs all respond differently after cooking, yet they share one important lesson. In most cases, the biggest difference between a safer leftover and a riskier one isn't the food itself. It's the way we cool it, store it, and reheat it before it reaches our plate. At this point, you may be wondering whether the safest solution is to avoid leftovers altogether. Fortunately, the answer is no. Leftovers can absolutely be part of a healthy lifestyle when they are handled properly. After years of studying food chemistry and reviewing the recommendations of major food safety organizations, I've found that 3 simple habits make a far greater difference than most people realize. The first habit is to cool food quickly. Many people leave dinner on the kitchen counter for several hours before placing it in the refrigerator. Unfortunately, that gives bacteria more time to multiply. Instead, transfer large portions into smaller, shallow containers so they cool more rapidly. Once the food has stopped steaming, refrigerate it without unnecessary delay. This simple habit can significantly reduce bacterial growth before reheating ever becomes part of the picture. The second habit is to reheat only what you plan to eat. This is especially important for people who prepare meals several days in advance. Every time the same container is removed from the refrigerator, warmed, allowed to cool again, and returned to storage, both food quality and safety may gradually decline. Dividing meals into individual portions from the beginning allows each serving to be reheated just once, while the remaining portions stay properly chilled. The third habit is to use gentle heat whenever possible. Many people believe hotter is always better. In reality, overheating food often provides no additional safety benefit once the appropriate serving temperature has been reached. Instead, excessive heat may dry out proteins, accelerate oxidation, and reduce the overall quality of the meal. Whether you use a microwave, an oven, or the stovetop, aim to heat the food evenly rather than as quickly as possible. If there's one message I hope you remember from today's discussion, it's this. Food safety doesn't begin when you press the microwave button. It begins the moment the meal leaves the stove. The way you cool it, store it, portion it, and reheat it has a greater impact than most people ever imagine. Small changes in the kitchen rarely feel dramatic. But over months and years, those small habits can become part of a healthier routine for you and the people you care about most. We've talked about 4 everyday foods, the science behind how they change after cooking, and the simple habits that can help you handle them more safely. But if there's one message I hope stays with you after this video, it's not to become afraid of leftovers. It's to become more aware of them. After spending more than 15 years studying nutrition and food chemistry, I've come to believe that many of the biggest health improvements don't come from dramatic diets or expensive supplements. They come from understanding the small decisions we make every single day. The way we cool our food, the way we store it, and the way we reheat it may seem insignificant. Do sit in the moment, but over the course of years, those small habits can shape our overall health far more than we realize. What I find most frustrating is that much of this information has been available in scientific literature for years. Organizations such as the World Health Organization, the United States Department of Agriculture, the European Food Safety Authority, and many researchers around the world have continued to improve our understanding of food safety. Yet most families never hear about these findings in a way that's simple, practical, and easy to apply. That's one of the reasons I created this channel, to help bridge the gap between scientific research and everyday life. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of the 4 foods surprised you the most? Rice, chicken, leafy greens, or eggs? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if there's another everyday food you'd like me to investigate in a future video, let me know. Your questions often inspire the next topic I research. If you found today's discussion valuable, consider sharing this video with someone you care about. A simple conversation about food safety could help a friend or family member build healthier habits without making life any more complicated. Finally, I'd like to leave you with an important reminder. This video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for personalized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The information presented here is based on current scientific literature and guidance available at the time this video was created, but nutrition science continues to evolve as new evidence emerges. If you have a medical condition, specific dietary concerns, or questions about your individual health, please consult your physician, a registered dietitian, or another qualified healthcare professional before making significant changes to your diet or food preparation habits. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. William, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, stay informed, stay curious, and take good care of yourself.